Well, to start, Tantra, right? Like, what is it? I think it's beginning to be a more commonly used word, and it's getting thrown around a little bit more, and it's becoming less abnormal to hear. I know at one point no one really even was saying it, but essentially, Tantra is union. It is a way of living. It is not just about sex. It's actually so much more than that. But to overlap that statement, with Tantra, you realize that everything is sex. Everything is creative energy, right? Creative energy is sexual energy. There is no separation. And so we're always creating our realities. We're always creating, in a sense, you are the architect of your life. And with that being said, yeah, the purpose of life is, in a sense, to reproduce and evolve and generate generations, So that's kind of like a broad way to put it. Like, Tantra is union. For me, that's what I personally think of. I mean, there might be other definitions out there, but in a sense, it is sovereignty. It is oneness with all beings. It is unconditional love, inside, outside. Sorry, I'm in a van, so sounds happen, and I gotta know what's going on. And so yeah, it's so much more than sex. Sex is probably like the cherry on top, like intercourse when I say that. Like, because sex is you, sex is me, female, male, right? All this stuff, whatever. It's so much bigger than just those things. It is true unity. Knowing that, right? Knowing that everything is sex. Let me look at my notes. Okay, that's what I was going to say. And like I kind of just mentioned, there's so much I want to cover here. I want to share a little bit about ovarian breathing, because I think a lot of people think of Tantra and they think of semen retention, which is essentially, not ejaculating during sex. And there's also, a lot of women are like, wait, is that a thing for women too? And it actually is. Not to the same degree, but we're going to get into that, and I want to share some breath techniques and things you can do. This could really turn into like a series, because Tantra is such a big but simple idea, whatever you want to call it. But we'll get there. Towards the end, we'll get into some breath exercises and some like actual things to do to practice Tantra. But yeah, I just really wanted to emphasize before I get into the actual, what we're talking about, intercourse and sexuality, and what is more commonly talked about with it, that it is a lifestyle. It is looking at the world. It is looking at life, the universe as oneness. It is all creative, and inside is outside, female, male, like. And personally too, I can say that with learning Tantra and learning just about like sexuality and stuff, and learning about myself, I've always known, like, I grew up in a very masculine dominated environment, and there, in a way, we carry certain essences. I want to say this lightly though, because I don't want there to be like too much of an attachment to that identity. I think even with zodiacs, we get so caught up in these identities, and that could be a whole other episode. Maybe next week we'll talk zodiacs. But essentially, I'm more of a like masculine female. I think you kind of probably all know that by now. But you kind of get what I'm saying though. Like, I tend to be more, there's left brain, right brain, and feel and think and all these separations. And Tantra is about like the union of all that. But in a sense, I am definitely more on the masculine side, right? And so maybe you want to ask yourself right now, like, what do you feel more dominant? Do you feel more dominant in your female essence of like nurture and water and moon and mothering and like, regardless of what your genitals are, we all kind of have usually tendencies to be dominant in one. And it's not like I'm just always this masculine female. If anything, I've really learned a lot about myself in the past maybe year, because I would say I kind of started getting into Tantra, or like learning what that even is. Like I had heard about it, whatever, but like practicing it and bringing it into my realm, probably for only about a year. So trust yourself before you trust me with anything that I say. But I think in this past year have really blossomed into what femininity is. Fun fact, that was a word that I could never say when I was little. Proud moment for adult Casey. But and so like learning to balance and ebb and flow, and really starting to like cherish my feminine side. I don't know if any other like women can relate, but being this like dominant masculine female has a lot of pluses, but it also has these drawbacks, where we don't really allow ourselves to be a woman fully, or we like hold back, or it intimidates a lot of men, which is kind of the story of my life. I never really felt like I could be handled properly. Like all of me, like my whole essence and spirit is like too big. It's too much. It's too hard. So learning how to dance with the softness is something in the past year I've done. And I would love to know what you consider yourself dominant with, or what do you resonate with more, masculine or, feminine. And, gosh, where do we want to go with this? Because there's so much I could share here, and I'm trying not to spill too much tea. All right, let's do it. Let's go there. So I guess I want to share a little bit about my relationship with sex.